I am the living testimony of how it feels and how it looks like to be in an educational system that is completely controlled by the government and its representative, where parental rights are non-existent or are completely obliterated on a daily basis. And I am here to tell you that this is the battle of our lifetimes, and there is no way that we can let our guard down right now. In the entire country, as of the latest reports that Parents Defending Education have been publishing, we have over 1,000 school districts in the entire union that have signed, passed, and are currently enforcing parental exclusion policies that keep parents in the dark when it comes to the gender confusion of their minor children. We have ideological and political agendas that have nothing to do with reading, writing, or math that are being inserted in every single class subject in our schools and our kids. There is a significant lack of accountability and transparency, and parental rights are being trampled on a daily basis. Here at the local level in California, it's been very good and very hopeful to see the big changes that some school districts have achieved, passing parental information and parental notification policies in the last few weeks. And then it's only the beginning. That's why it's important that we continue to be engaged in this fight. Finally, it is our duty to keep this momentum going, because what is happening in California is not only here in your state, it's happening nationwide, and it's what we're working on and seeing on a daily basis in all the states. Finally, I would like to do a very personal, close reminder and calling to all of you, and I would like you to share it with any neighbor, Spanish-speaking, Latino, or any other minority or otherwise, and please put the message out. When you feel that in the middle of this battle that you're burnt out, that you're isolated, that your knees are bending down, I want you to remember this little story. I started my life in America 22 years ago with 2 suitcases and $200 in my pockets, with the simple goal of giving my children the opportunity to receive an education and to have a life completely different from the one that I have to escape from. Recuerden, para las familias hispanas, para los padres que hablan español, nosotros no somos disidentes, no somos terroristas, nosotros somos los padres de nuestros hijos menores de edad y tenemos un derecho constitucional que nos da la autoridad para dirigir y para poder moldear la crianza y la educación de nuestros hijos. And a final disclaimer. We are not the troublemakers who misbehave in public. We are the parents, and we're not going anywhere. Thank you.
Yeah.
Gracias.
Thank you. And I'm one of the founding members of the Leave Our Kids Alone organization. We got quickly activated after our June 2nd Pride Day Assembly protest at Satakoy Elementary School. But we haven't stopped there. We just keep getting more connected, more united, and stronger than ever before. A lot of people reach out and ask, how do we get involved? What do we do? And my answer and response is always the same. It's simple, just get involved. This morning, a few of our group members and I were at the LAUSD board meeting. While there, I spoke my heart as a concerned mother and talked about the changes that I wanted to see in my kids' educational system, in their curriculum. Things that bother me, things that go against my family values, things that go against God and the way I envision raising my kids. Each and every one of us have an obligation to attend these board meetings. Each and every one of us can attend, speak our voice, and make a change, make a difference. But I promise it's gonna take an army. It's gonna take all of us uniting, becoming one, and really raising our voices to where they belong. So get connected, get organized, attend the board meetings, get activated locally in local politics as well, whether it's city council, whether it's your county board of supervisors, whether it's school board running for school board, right? A lot of parents see themselves as the end result is that. We can only complain, we can only go to the school board meetings and complain so much, but at the end, we have to become the change that we want to see. So instead of standing back and constantly complaining, telling them what we don't like, let's actually run for these seats. Let's flip the school boards. Let's do things our way, the way we envision things to be done. And I promise it's possible. It may seem impossible, it may seem intimidating, it may seem, again, impossible, but it's not, okay? With all of us uniting, becoming one voice, all of this is possible. So join us, attend every event such as this one as you possibly can. Join those who are actually doing the work, right, running. Support the candidates that you're seeing that are like-minded like you. And I promise in the end, we will all be victorious. Thank you all for giving me this opportunity.
It's been amazing. So many great speakers. California Policy Center has been around for about 10 years. We started in Orange County as kind of a local group, but we've expanded throughout the state. We have people in Bakersfield, in Sacramento, in Yuba County, Orange County. We have people down in San Diego because we really believe that if you have better policy, you understand the implications of what's happening to you through the government, we can help you out. One of those groups and projects we have is called the Parent Union. The Parent Union's been around for about 6 years, and one of our friends who couldn't make it tonight, unfortunately she was sick, but is Ceci Iglesias. Ceci Iglesias was a mama bear in Santa Ana who realized that we needed to have a voice and a choice for parents. So she started the Parent Union to make sure that we had that. And if you look at California Policy Center's website, you'll find a way in toolbox, materials and resources necessary to help you out. So we invite you to do that. Our next speaker is somebody who's had a little bit of viral fame himself, a father and a parent advocate. He has sharp speeches and a fearless strategy on behalf of the rights of parents, using his signs at the Glendale School Board and City Council meetings. He's been viewed by millions and actually not allowed at some meetings too recently. He's catching the attention of Blaze TV and Alex Jones, to name a few, so please welcome to the stage, Jordan Henry.
Of two, soon to be three boys. Very lucky. And I'm a candidate for Glendale Unified School Board. I want to thank the California Policy Institute and for PERC for bringing together all these courageous people today. A couple of weeks ago, I actually attended a school board meeting in Glendale, and I printed out a piece of paper. It had art on it. It was created by a local quote-unquote queer activist who's embedded herself in our schools through the GSA programs. These are the Gender Sexuality Alliances programs that extend down to elementary schools in our district. The painting depicted a nude boy, and it was not a man, it was a boy, engaging in explicit acts. And it was clear evidence that this artist, a woman who's posing as a man, is not only perverted, but should have nothing to do with our public schools. But they're involved directly, brought in by the teachers. And school officials, they refused my entry into the board meeting because they called the art that I had a sign. The school board, they passed a new rule saying we couldn't bring signs into the meeting, and that's completely offensive to me. If you believe in free speech, we should have the right to do that. They're actively working against us to get our message out about the corruption in our communities. And I'm sure many of you have experienced similar situations. You know how frustrating this can be, but we're no longer going to back down. You have to make that choice right now. We will find new ways of speaking the truth, connecting with our neighbors, and finding people who share common sense values. In Glendale, we have a situation where our school board has been very cold and dismissive to parents. Our school board is entirely radicalized, and they've committed themselves to advancing the woke agenda. Along with the Glendale Teachers Union, the school board has even influenced our state senator, Anthony Portantino, who wrote Senate Bill 596. If you know anything about this, it will chill speech that's critical of their policies in the schools. And in spite of all of this, parental rights issues have emboldened the passion and engagement of a core group of members in our community. We continue to grow. We believe that Glendale will turn the tide, and we will take back our school board shortly. That's why I'm running. So when I first started speaking out, myself and a couple other moms, we were the only people showing up, doing the research, filing the public records requests, but that core group grew. And you all have heard about Glendale and what we've accomplished. One of them is here tonight, Aneta Karpekyan. She's right here in the white. She has stepped up bravely to run for the second seat in our district. God bless you, Aneta. We need more people to do this. We need to stand up. We need to come together. We need to dig deep and find the bravery and the courage as individuals to take back these institutions. This is the only way that we can counter the authoritarianism that we're seeing right now in California. So please ask yourselves, what will your role be? Think ahead, find that quest, and follow it. Thank you, guys. God bless you.
Thank you, and there definitely is a role for all of us, and it's kind of funny that the teachers union type people, they say, oh, the parents have this new strategy to run people for school board. We need to shut this down. And it's just funny that that's what they've been doing all these years, is but they're finding extremists to run for school board to enforce their agenda. And we're just parents that want to be involved in our kids' education. Like, we thought that's what they wanted, right? But apparently not all parents matter. So going from parent to an uncle to our next speaker, who a year ago, a speech in the Conejo Valley right next to us shook a nation into action. Hundreds from around the country have marched alongside him, and he's here to represent a group of Americans the media says can't exist. His testimony helped pass HB 574 in Nebraska, which bans gender-affirming care for minors and protects the innocent, and he continues to advocate alongside parents today. Ladies and gentlemen, Mario presents.
Good evening. My message and my mission have remained consistent for more than a decade. I want to activate Americans using the gifts we've been given by our Creator and bring these inherent skill sets to the forefront of this battle for our children's mental, physical, and emotional health. We are gathered here tonight to inform prospective candidates, policymakers, and elected leaders know of the issues and concerns that are most important to us as we prepare to enter the 2024 elections. Parents from around the world are uniting, working together, and pushing back on policies that promote their own children keeping secrets from them. In my groundbreaking speech to the Conejo Valley School District last September, I reminded the school boards of the world that they are not present when these children undergo surgeries, have fevers, or medical emergencies. The parents are. Parents have the biggest burden on the planet. I had very good parents growing up. They taught me to speak up for victims, befriend the meek, and inspire others into action through my positive actions and interactions. I'm not a parent, but I admire each and every one of you. You are my heroes. Your voices and actions have moved Chino, Orange, Rockland, Murrieta, Anderson, and Temecula school districts to ensure parents are kept appraised of changes, big or small, in a child's behavior, or if a child has a potential identity crisis. It horrifies me that district trustees, board members, and their agents would disrupt, intimidate, and pressure schools into keeping secrets from parents under the guise of outing children. The best metric for a child's future success is healthy parental involvement. If my parents had known of the potential dangers of the LGBTQ community, perhaps I could have avoided a few harrowing experiences. These days, parents need to be armed with information to protect their children. This is the parents' right and duty, not the schools. If a child harms another person, the parents pay restitution. So I assure legislators, elected officials, and board members that parents indeed have dominion over their children. Unless parents are inflicting serious harm or abuse on their children, I promise you, moms and dads are the heroes in this story. We live in California in 2023, and of course we have lesbian neighbors, gay cousins, and trans people in our communities. It is not transphobic to advise a child to abstain from puberty blockers or a double mastectomy before their frontal lobe is fully developed around the age of 25. These changes are irreversible and many times render people infertile and even more emotionally unstable. Rejection comes in many forms, but the dissuasion of potentially harmful behavior is not rejection. It's actually confirmation of an adult's ability to know what is best for his or her child. We reject politicians who think they know better than parents, and we reject a predatory medical industry that partners with corrupt doctors. The Nuremberg Code states that people have a right to know what is being administered to them, and this code has shaped our ethical medical guidelines for a generation. California parents are losing medical authority over their children, and doctors willing to support these parents are being threatened with losing their licenses. In 2019, California legislators passed SB 276, which removed medical exemptions from the less than 1% of vaccine-injured children in the state. Any doctor found to have written more than 5 exemptions is flagged, investigated, and either put on probation or loses his or her medical license. I personally testified against the California Assembly Bill 1797 because it involves the tracking and tracing of all Californians. If you personally refuse a flu shot, COVID vaccine, or tetanus inoculation, or refuse the above for your child, this information is already being entered into a California database. I come from a community that has put in place protections surrounding our medical privacy, but our bubble cannot protect those of you in Conejo, San Diego, San Fernando, or Redlands. This is why we must remind our elected leaders about the issues that we find absolutely essential to human autonomy. Medical privacy and parental rights are not left or right issues. They are human issues. Article 1, Section 3 of the California Constitution says that the people have a right to instruct their representatives, petition government for a redress of grievances, and assemble freely to consult for the common good. We are hereby instructing you to prioritize the issues that motivate, concern, and grieve us. We are freely assembling to consult for the common good and joining together to have our collective voices heard. It's time to start paying attention. Thank you very much.
I am Sophia Laurie, and I am the Outreach Director at California Family Council, where we fight day in and day out to advance God's design for life, family, and liberty across California's church, capital, and culture. And we at CFC are so grateful to partner with the California Policy Center and all the amazing organizations that are here today. And thank you all for gathering here today to discuss a topic of utmost importance: parental rights. Fighting for truth and working in Sacramento, it is evident to me that we are not in a battle of man, but by fighting for the protection and innocence of children, we have entered a spiritual battle, a battle of good versus evil. Today, we have some of the most extreme anti-family and anti-parent legislators in the Capitol, or what I like to call the lion's den. Yet, this is nothing new. In 2013, AB 1266 passed into law requiring that students must be allowed to use bathrooms, locker rooms, and play on sports teams not based on their sex, but based on their gender identity. I want to make one thing clear. You cannot change your gender, and you were not born in the wrong body. In fact, you were created perfectly in the image of God. I was recently kicked out of a library in Davis for saying this, but I will not stop saying that a man can never be a woman, a father can never be a mother, and a boy can never be a girl. And we must stand firm in these truths, specifically for the protection of our children. Every California legislative session since 2013, the attacks on children and parental rights have only increased. But this year, we have seen a turn in the tide. For the first time since 2013, parents are winning. Parents are getting their rights back, and that is because all of you that are here. It is because we have woken up to the madness, and we are standing up against the lies. From parent notification policies being passed in Chino, Temecula, Orange, and so many more, to AB 957 being vetoed, to winning lawsuits in favor of parents' rights in Escondido and Monterey, we are winning. We are making it known that we do not co-parent with the government. And Governor Newsom and Senator Scott Wiener, I have some news for you. You do not get to remove parental rights without a fight. And we will win, and truth will prevail. But parents, to win, we must stand united in defending parental rights. When spiritual warfare attacks, and it will, we must stand united. Children are our most precious gift, and it is our responsibility to make the best decisions for their well-being. So let us continue to advocate for the freedom to do so, ensuring that our values and our beliefs are passed down to future generations. Myself and California Family Council are looking forward to continuing to fight alongside you all, because truth will prevail.
Thank you. Our next speaker is a physician.
PERC Group for organizing this rally and giving me the privilege of speaking to you all today. I'm going to tell you how I've been inspired by the bravery and the tenacity of the parents in this movement, and then I'm going to have a call to action to have every one of you try to come out of your comfort zone and get out there on the playing field. I'm here as a supporter and an advocate of the GUSD Parents' Voices. I'm a proud product of Glendale Public Schools, and because of my public school education, I'm a physician in the community, I'm a researcher, and I hope to use my scientific background to support the parents' rights movement against those who dismiss and silence them. Glendale Unified test scores, much like California's test scores, have declined over the last 15 years through the misguided policies of the state. And this decline is the very opposite of the progress that these progressive ideas espouse. The GUSD Parents' Voice inspired me to speak up at the Glendale School Board meeting because I agreed with our frustration that schools weren't giving students, my niece included, the education that was necessary to succeed in life. But I was also angry at how the establishment was dismissing them, not with logical arguments, because they don't have any, but with name-calling, white nationalists, homophobes. I gained the trust of the GUSD Parents' Voices after I spoke out about the declining test scores because I focused on the numbers, and I used data, not emotions, to make my case that their entire curriculum, not just the progressive social topics, the entire thing needed to go. The board couldn't dismiss me as a white nationalist. They couldn't dismiss me as a homophobe because I'm not a homophobe, and neither is my husband. And I told the board that I'm a hometown success story because when I was a closeted junior high school student, my teachers weren't fixating on supporting my identity. They were fixated on supporting my IQ.
That's right.
And we will win this fight more efficiently by focusing on overhauling the entire curriculum that is failing our students and not just removing the fringe ideology that is indoctrinating them. We will win this by espousing ideas over identity. Regarding the state's push to drive a wedge between parents and their children, as a physician, I know that children lack capacity to make medical decisions. Many adults lack capacity to make medical decisions. A few of them are in the Senate right now. Children need their parents and not state officials. They need adults who know them well. They do not need separation. If children are questioning their gender identity, the medical literature shows that there's an underlying mental illness at least 50% of their time. So they need the support. They need the involvement of their parents. According to medical guidelines, the children who truly are gender dysphoric need an army of staff, including physicians, therapists, social workers, not a single school counselor, not one community doctor who does one telehealth visit and prescribes puberty blockers without consulting somebody else, and certainly not a government official. When we rely on quality, transparent research, when we espouse facts over feelings to support a parent's right to be involved, this is how we safeguard our children and once again ensure that teachers are partners and not partitions. Now here's the call to action to get you out of your comfort zone. Glendale, my hometown, seat in Congress, first time it's been open in 22 years. Anthony Portantino, the author of SB 596, the Parent Silencing Act, which will criminalize your school board comments with a misdemeanor and a $1,000 fine. He is running for that open seat. Laura Friedman, the author of AB 659, wants to mandate the HPV vaccine on all California schoolgirls, your children. She is running for that open seat. I will not let them go unopposed. So I've stepped out of my comfort zone and I'm running because I refuse to let this California cancer metastasize to Washington. I'm here as the anti-politician to inspire other real people like you to step out of your comfort zone and start writing these policies because other people will write them in your absence. I want to thank all the parents and the non-parents who are in this fight. I'm here standing with you, shoulder to shoulder, ideas over identity, facts over feelings, slow and steady, we win this race. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Al.
Back there. Thank you, Jennifer, and I'm so glad that we're friends in this battle. We've made a lot of good friends here on Team Reality, here behind the blue curtain, and we want to say thank you, California parents. I have 4 children, and I know how difficult it is just to leave the house. So, round of applause for everybody who left the house today. Yeah! That's the most important thing. I'm here, and I hope you can all hear me, and I'm going to be a little teacherish for a minute. 1, 2, 3, eyes on me. Crisscross applesauce, whatever you need to do, because this is important stuff. How many of you used to think that our elected representatives had your best interests and the interests of your children in mind? When I came to America and signed up to be a U.S. citizen, I was like, this is it. This is the land of the free, the home of the brave, and people like George Washington who serve and then go back to their lives. Not so here. I want you to know that the people in Sacramento and the people in D.C., they have made a choice. The choice they have made was evident when they muzzled our children. It was evident when they kept them out of school. It was evident when they forced an experimental vaccine on them. It was evident long ago when they actually didn't teach them anything, to the point that kids in Baltimore can't even do math. So when you're wondering, California's worse than there. So when you're wondering why everything shuts down when the Wi-Fi goes out and your McDonald's cashier can't make change, they literally can't make change. That is sinful. It is wrong. And our elected officials made their choice to get in bed with public sector unions. No offense to the lovely cops out there who are protecting us today. We appreciate you and your union. But public sector teachers' unions are a scourge. They are totally doing their job, which is to get more money for less work, and has nothing to do with educating or taking care of our children. So what can we do about this? We're going to do something else that most parents don't do. So we usually don't leave the house, and we usually don't vote. The demographic that doesn't vote is parents. Like, who has the time? It's a random Tuesday. I'm here to tell you something really important. In California, we do not have primaries. We have 2 general elections. The first one starts the first week of February. So if you're sitting here getting all riled up, being like, yeah, in November, I'm going to vote these people out. Too late. February, we have a month of voting. So many of you here have never voted before. You didn't care. You didn't think it mattered to you. There's a bunch of people over there from my assembly district who are registering voters right now. Siaka and Charlotte Massaquoi and Audrey and Otto. Wave, see them over there. He has a cute dog, but the dog's on a leash, so it's okay. Please register and vote in February. Let me say that one more time. When are we going to vote? February. Bank your votes as if your children's futures depend on it, because it does. Thank you all.
About one of my favorite people. She's a native New Yorker and a person who represents all of those good things that come with America to create a culture of truth, family, and freedom in our homes and our communities. She's the state director and state liaison for Moms for America, California. She's a mother of 5, 2 of which of her children are currently being homeschooled. She's a board member of an Orange County charter school, active in her church and community and local government. She speaks her mind. Please welcome Barbie George.
Good day, we the people. First, permit me, I'd like to get my camera out, and I want to take a picture of the most important people here, because that's you. Nothing can be done unless we join together, unite, and get it done. We've been asleep for too long. We only have ourselves to blame for this situation that we're in. Oh, did you not know that I might get people a little uncomfortable. Well, yeah, that's what I do. So I grew up in the South Bronx, Harlem, and Newark, New Jersey. But I didn't let my circumstances dictate my future. I knew from a young age that I lived in the greatest nation on earth, and that with hard work and perseverance, I could make it. I didn't go to a fancy college. Nobody even knows it. It's a little school in New Jersey. And as you can tell from my accent, I sound like I'm from what, Texas? No, okay. So being the mother of 5 children and being in the state of California, I see that parents are being vilified. It's not the thing to do to vilify parents, because you know what happens with parents? Parents stand up, and they stand up for their children. No one can love, care, or dedicate themselves for the well-being of your child than you. And being called extremists, and trust me, I'm called an extremist all the time. See, I'm known as a Karen, and my husband, he's African American, he's an Uncle Tom. I'm Afro-Latina, okay? And I'm here to say, we don't believe in CRT. Please don't feel sorry for me, because I came from very humble beginnings, but I went from Newark to Newport Beach, and I earned it. Nobody gave it to me. I'm not entitled to anything, and no one is. You earn it. So when I see that in these schools, they want to tell our children, well, we need to give you a hand because of your circumstances, because of your skin color, because of your ethnic background. I'm here to say it can be done. It can be done because this is the United States of America, and it's what you make of it. We are the people. We the people. And we cannot be afraid of adversity. We cannot be afraid of, and I'll say the word, it's not a great word, enemy. We do not need to be afraid. Margaret Thatcher had an audience with the Queen. And the Queen said to her, well, you've gotten rid of half the parliament and you're making enemies everywhere. Doesn't that concern you? She goes, no, it doesn't concern me, not if you're comfortable with enemies. And she recited a poem by the Chartist Charles Mackay, and it goes like this. You have no enemies, you say? Alas, dear friends, the boast is poor, for he who has lingered in the fray of duty that the brave endure must have foes. If you have none, small is the work that you have done. You've hit no traitor on the hip. You've dashed no cup from perjured lip. You've never turned the wrong to right. Then you've been a coward in the fight. So let's not be cowards. Let's be bold. Let us stand up for our children and the integrity of this country. Thank you so much for your time, and God bless the United States of America.
So we've got a for leaders accountable, and boy, we really do see that need. It's a rapidly growing organization that sprouted chapters across the nation. Today we welcome the LA County Chapter Chair Karen Frost and Vice Chair Martha Aguilera of Moms for Liberty.
Woo!
Down here. Hi everybody, my name is Karen Frost, and I am the chapter chair of the newly founded Moms for Liberty in LA County. And this is part of my team, and we are so happy and privileged to be here amongst you with all of these patriots that are fighting for the same cause of parental rights. If you would have told me 5 years ago that I would be up here addressing you guys, I would have told you that you were crazy. There's not a chance in the world. 5 years ago, I was taking my kids to school. They seemed happy, they seemed educated, and I was blissfully unaware with no red flags going on. And then COVID hit, and all of our kids were out of school, you too as well. And for the very first time in my life, I picked up signs and I demonstrated and I rallied to get my kids back in school. And who would have thought that getting our kids back to in-person instruction was the smallest battle that we had in front of us. Once we were aware of what was going on, we started working within each other and in a groups in our community, and we're like, wow, there is a lot of work that needs to be done here. And so we've been working in small groups in mostly Santa Clarita, but all over LA County. And we decided, you know what? We need a larger platform. We need a bigger voice. We need a bigger megaphone. So we've bound together with Moms for Liberty. It is a national organization, like she said, started in Florida. And it's moms and dads and grandparents that are fighting together for parental rights. We are a nonpartisan group. There are Democrats and there are Republicans binding together fighting for parental rights, because this should not be a partisan issue. So I'm really happy to be here. We have a table in the back with information if you want more information about our newly established chapter. And with that, I'd like to turn it over to my co-chair, Martha Aguilera, that would also like to say a few words.
Woo!
What's up, everybody? My name is Martha y yo estoy aquí para hablar con mi gente. Yo soy Marta y soy la cofundadora del capítulo de Los Ángeles, del Condado de Los Ángeles de Madres para la Libertad. Estoy aquí porque quiero pelear por nuestros derechos de nuestros hijos. Nosotros sabíamos que nosotros o nuestros padres o nuestros abuelos vinieron a este país con la ropa que tenían puesta, la mayoría, para vivir una vida mejor, para poder criar a sus hijos con más oportunidades. Nunca en 1.000.000 de años nos hubiéramos imaginado que íbamos a estar peleando con el gobierno, con gente extraña, sobre poder tomar decisiones sobre nuestros hijos, peleando que nosotros pudiéramos saber qué está pasando con nuestros hijos. Nunca hubiéramos pensado que esto podía pasar en este país, pero pasó y está pasando. Y por eso yo me uní con esta comunidad, con esta organización, Madres para la Libertad del Condado de Los Ángeles, que somos uno de los condados más grandes de todo el país.
Jennifer Kennedy. Thank you so much, Jen. You're one of my heroes. Thank you, everybody, for being out here tonight. It's really, really exciting, especially out here in this part of town, Ventura County, Conejo Valley, where you don't see as much activism. It's really, really great to see you here tonight. What a horse race it has been this year with the legislative session. You guys know that last year legislative session was all about COVID crackdowns, COVID police, COVID shots for everybody. That was the focus then, and we fought it. And what was the big thing we fought? SB 866, minor consent to vaccinations, and we killed it. So that's a testament to you guys. That's a testament to all the people who are coming out now to this grassroots wave that we have now. We're in this era, this post-COVID era, post-lockdown pandemic. I like to say that these are extraordinary times, and they are calling on ordinary people to do extraordinary things. And you guys are doing that by being here today, and everything you're doing with your mama bears and papa bears, all your grassroots groups, and showing up and making those phone calls. Because what did we just do? Oh, sure, it's fun to say I helped bring AB 957 down, but so did all of you. You guys know AB 957 was going to be the worst and most dangerous bill for parents in California. It was going to require, as a matter of law, affirmation of gender transition, child sex change. It was going to require that in family court. That's exactly what was going to go into our code, and we all know once it gets into California law, it spreads like an infection through the rest of our codes. And we made it so toxic for Governor Newsom, there was no way he could sign it. So bravo to everyone for killing AB 957. The second thing we know we're working on, I've heard it talked here about tonight, everyone's referring to the big hot button issue of the parental notification policies. Now, this is a common sense, legal, and necessary, unfortunately necessary measure that we're having to take right now. And why? Because we've all recently learned that, unfortunately, the Cal Department of Education has been lying to our schools, and they in turn have been lying to teachers who have been lying to parents. And the big lie, all of this is that there's some law out there that requires or entitles a school to lie to parents about a child who is identifying as transgender on campus. Bill Asaley, well, let me back up and say, Attorney Erin Friday, who is one of the hardest working women I know in Northern California. Thank you for Erin Friday. She is the one who saved her own daughter from the gender cult and pulled her through it so that now, as a teenager, she's comfortable in her adult body that remains intact and healthy to this day. No surgical intervention, no medical intervention. And Erin Friday has spent the last 2 years almost alone, except with Lance Christensen and Greg Burt at the Capitol, trying to make a change. That change was going to be AB 1314. And guess what? She knocked on the doors of every Democrat legislator to propose this legislation that parents be made aware of what the schools are doing. Democrats said no. She knocked on the door of every Republican legislator. They all said no, except one, Bill Asaley from Riverside, who agreed bill. That was going to be, thank you, Bill Asaley, for stepping out, our brand new assemblyman, and we love it that he's so active. That bill was going to require what we want to see. We want to see notification of parents when their child is exhibiting gender dysphoria on campus. Just notification, that's it. You're going to tell us about tardies and attendance and other issues. You're going to tell us about this one. Well, of course, they killed it, and they didn't even give it a hearing. So now we're going district by district, and we're enacting it in every board throughout this state. So we're having great success. I'd like you to keep working in your area to get a board to bring these policies in place. Now, since the horse race is almost over, you all know that Governor Newsom has until October 14th to sign the last of the bills. That's his deadline. That's our deadline. He's, of course, overnight, oh my gosh, last night he signed AB 1078 to take away school curriculum. Control from the local boards. I was at a board meeting in Glendora, and I wanted to tell the board, guys, guess what just happened to all of you? Your governor just took away all your rights to control your curriculum right here in your district. And by the way, those are the same people aligning against the parental notification policies. What we need to do now is this: Protect Kids CA. Go to protectkidsca.com. We need to get these on a statewide level. These are the 3 initiatives we are rolling out, and they are: 1, school transparency and partnership, school partnership with parents, and honesty. That's going to hit that issue. Number 2, protect girls' sports and spaces. We need protection of our girls in the places they need to have their sports and their private spaces. And finally, protect our children from reproductive harm. We're going to end the mutilating surgeries and the sterilizing drugs in the state of California, and we're going to do it with your help. We need your army to mobilize for these 3 initiatives. Thank you, everybody, for everything you're doing. It's a pleasure to fight alongside you, and good night. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. As she stated, and this is true, and it still sounds bizarre to me to this day, but this year, January 31st, very specifically, I was fired as a tenured public school teacher. So I very much have proof of the corruption of teachers' unions, because they did not save my job when they learned that I was a Christian, essentially, is how that all played out. And so I was fired this year because my district could not accommodate my religious beliefs. I couldn't believe it when I read those words on my termination packet. I thought, this is America. This is what makes America beautiful and great, is the fact that all are welcome, and religious liberty especially is what we were founded on, and it's the very thing I'm being fired for. So that begs the question, right? Jessica, what about your religious beliefs did your district take an issue to? Well, I was presented with directives after students decided to seek me out on social media, and there they found my Christian conservative views. And my district was not happy that I stand very firm in the Lord, and I stand very firm in the fact that He created male and female, and gender is not a choice. And I stand very firm in the fact that parents' rights are God-given and man cannot take those away. And so when students found those things, they literally sent in my post to my school district Bible verses. My district presented me with my own posts that were Bible verses. And the Lord in that moment immediately said, "You are entering spiritual warfare. Stand firm." And so I did. And it was the scariest thing I've ever walked through. But my district presented me with directives. They were an ultimatum. This is what you will have to do now to save your job. You need to call students by their preferred gender pronoun. You need to withhold that information from their parents. And I clarified in that moment because that word sure sounded like lying to me. And I looked my superintendent dead in the eye and I said, "Are you asking me to lie to parents?" And he said, "Yeah, for student safety and privacy." The next one, it gets worse, believe it or not. The next one was that I was to allow transgenders into my locker room. As was stated, I was a PE teacher. I oversaw a girls' locker room. And I learned that day that if a boy now was identifying as a female, I would need to let him enter. I said, "Not happening. I'm not letting male genitals into my female locker room." Well, after my district learned that I would not comply with those various directives, and when I spoke out about those, I spoke in my faith and my beliefs in God and in His creation. And that is when they decided, we cannot accommodate your religious beliefs, therefore we're releasing you from employment. And so since then, and a week before I was fired, I'll tell you, I prayed in my driveway and I said, "God, if I'm really going to be let go of because I'm standing firm with you in your truth, you take this story far and wide." And let me tell you, He has done exactly that. And so I've obviously had a very face-to-face run-in with parental rights and the robbing of them that this state is trying to do. And one of the coolest things he did shortly after I was fired is I got a phone call about this legislation, AB 1314, which was parental notification. I actually got to be a part of that press release right in front of the high school I was fired from. And we are now taking that as a policy across California. There's 7 districts to this day that have passed parental notification. 4 of them in SoCal. I have gone to every single one and just shared my story, right? To bring to light and bring to reality that they are going after conservative teachers right now, you guys. I'm not the only one. I'm keeping track of them all, and I know 5 by name right now that have been on the chopping block and are going to be suing their districts as I am, just because of the fact that they're conservative and they're standing firm in the truth. We don't want this for our children, and our weapon in this warfare is our voice. So I want to challenge you today, step out of the gray. This is a very black and white matter. Okay, step out of the gray, stop trying to please man, fear the Lord alone, use your voice. That is our weapon in this. If you stay silent, if you do nothing, that's doing something, and it's not helping. Okay, so if a shy girl like me that had no father growing up, my mom was addicted to drugs, praise the Lord that my grandma stepped in and raised me. If a shy girl like me who doesn't like talking on the phone, I don't even like telling a waitress when my order is wrong, if I can find it in me to use my voice and stand firm in the truth and rely fully on the Lord, I promise you He is faithful, and you can do it too. And you will be so glad you did, because the other side of faith is the most beautiful thing I've seen in my life. And I just want everyone to experience what I have for standing firm in the Lord. Thank you.
Perk.
Wow. I just have to tell you that when I look at this crowd and I see those who have spoken before me on the stage today, and I see all of you, what I think in my heart is this isn't just a few people standing up for parental rights. It's not just one organization or one person or one teacher. This is a movement here in California that cannot be stopped. And it's going to go from here across the entire country, because there is power in the speaker you just heard in Jessica. There is power in Tracy. And there is a powerful leader in Lance Christensen here in California Policy Center. I want you to know that I have so much hope standing in front of you today. Sometimes, okay, let's be honest, sometimes we talk about all the problems, right? We're like, oh my gosh, the sky is falling. Everything's happening in Sacramento. Everything's happening with these mandates. We're getting fired. The kids are getting kicked out of school. The curriculum, all the things that are happening. And it's true. Those things are happening all around us. But what is also true is that we have hope. We have a hope because there is a movement, there is power in what is happening, and people are being inspired left and right to do something that they didn't even think was possible. Do you realize what is happening in California is supposedly impossible? We have been told, how many times have we been told that you can't do what we've been doing here in California? You can't win in California. We're told you have to move to a different state in order to protect your children and your family. And look at what's happening in the state that's supposed to be impossible. In California, we are winning left and right because of you, because of the parents, because of the teachers, because of the people. Do you know that through PERC, our organization, we have seen 1.1 million actions be taken from all of you through our advocacy tool just this year. 1.1 million. That means emails that are being sent to legislators and senators, to the governor asking for vetoes. Twitter, we have lit up Twitter with over 90,000 tweets to legislators on these issues. And the point is that you are the ones taking action. The reason we have 1.1 million actions happening in a state that's supposed to be impossible to win anything is because you're doing something. You're actually listening. You're voicing your opinion. You're saying, no, this is not okay. And no, this is not going to happen on my watch to this generation of children and families. I want you to know that to see our daughter, who is 12 years old, stand before you and sing the national anthem. 12 years old, putting her heart out there to you. And that moment for us as parents, that is so beautiful. The truth to see this generation, she represents this generation of children who have the fire of freedom burning in their hearts. What hope we have because of her, because of the kids here, because of the teenagers, because of our son Kyle, who is 16 years old and understands so well what was happening in his public school that he came to us and asked to be homeschooled. 16 years old. He needs a lot more claps than that, you guys. That was a very hard decision. But this is what happens. What kind of legacy are we leaving to this generation of kids? Are we going to leave them a generation where all of their rights are gone, all of their freedoms don't exist anymore? Or are we going to stand together, united? Doesn't matter what background we have. It doesn't matter what labels they want to give us. Because if we can stand united in this, to protect this generation of children and make sure that that's the legacy we give to them, how incredibly hopeful is the future that we have, because we are the ones that are going to be leading them today and tomorrow and showing them what it looks like to preserve freedom, to fight for freedom, to instill that in our homes. I understand and agree with you that going to the school board meetings is so incredibly important. We go to Sacramento. We have met with Governor Newsom's staff on Friday before they came out with this huge veto, which is so huge and so many people were a part of that. But guess where the most important place for us to do the work is?
At home.
It's in our home. It's with our actual children. It's with your neighbor who needs you to love on them, because they're living in a world that has so much chaos and so many different messages bombarding them everywhere, whether it's at the grocery store or a clothing store or at school or online and social media. They need us. This generation of children need you. They need every single one of us to reach them to reach out to them. I hope that you hear my heart that we not only can win this, but we are winning this. And how we continue to win this is to leave this legacy with the children right here that are in our life. And I hope and I pray that when you go home tonight, that everyone will remember that freedom is something that we're born with. It's a gift that we already have. They can't take away something that we don't give to them, because it's already ours. It's always going to be ours, these freedoms and these rights. So please continue to stand with us, to stand with Perk, to stand with Lance, to stand with all of those who are fighting this fight. But remember to always also have hope, because without hope and the belief that we can actually do this, how can we really do this? So thank you all so much. I just thank you all for standing with us and being with us today and fighting to protect our children and parental rights. Thank you so much.
With Amy Bond saying thanking her for how inspiring she is. I am Jill Simonian from PragerU Kids, and I love America. And I want to hear you if you love America. Shout it. I know that sounds very cliche and very, how do you say it, very campy or cheesy or whatever you want. But that is the sentiment that we all must have every single day for our kids and for the future of our country. And I've been joking on the side here saying that everyone has said everything on this stage already, and I have nothing left to say, but I do have something very important to say, and it's going to get very serious here. And then I'll bring it back up again and give everyone hope. What I want to say is, we know that our values are being attacked. We know that truth is being abandoned. We know that we, as parents, are being pushed away to the side, and we will lose America if we do not step up right now. Right now. And the way that we do that is through educating ourselves and educating our children. I want to just briefly tell you a little background about myself. I am the most unlikely person to be up here right now. One of the most unlikely people to be up here right now, because I want to give you a little bit of background. I was raised as a fourth generation Armenian American, which I am very proud of. And I do say that right now because I want to extend and recognize the prayers that are needed for everyone in my culture on the other side of the world right now, because their values are being attacked. And what's happening there is very different than what's happening here in America with our children in our schools. But what the common thread is that truth is being abandoned, and it's resulting in tragedy. And that's why we have arrived at a place of tragedy in our schools. Because for decades, and I was very blind to this before, frankly, the last 3 years, for decades, truth has been abandoned, and our education system has been hijacked. And people like Rebecca Friedrichs have been shouting from the rooftops for years and years and years, and people like me, who had children in elementary school, said, oh, that's hyperbole, that's not happening. Well, I saw it happen over the lockdowns. And my background, what is very unlikely for me to be here, is that my background is I worked in mainstream media as an entertainment reporter and then a parenting contributor for Los Angeles stations. I worked for KTLA for a while, I worked for KCAL for a while, I worked for KCBS for a while. It's very unlikely that I would here now say that most mainstream media cannot be trusted. And I say that from the bottom of my heart with the biggest hole in my heart, as I know that media is here. But many people in mainstream media cannot be trusted, and I discovered that during the lockdowns. And my mother was a public school teacher, a fabulous public school teacher. My sister is currently a public school teacher. My grandmother was a public school teacher. And I was raised to never question public education. And that was a mistake that I made. And 3 years ago, before PragerU Kids launched, before we launched our mission and our endeavor to educate our children, kindergarten through 12th grade, with American values of liberty, freedom, responsibility, hard work, equality under God. That does not mean equity. That means equality under God, everyone equal under God. Until I began working with the PragerU Kids team and understood the severity of the problem that our education system has created, never in my wildest dreams did I think that God would drop me in a position like this to do my part and play my role with my professional and personal background as a fourth generation Armenian American who is resilient, as a daughter of a public school teacher who never questioned public education, and as someone who always believed in government authority, that they had the best in mind for us. Never in my wildest dreams would I have imagined we're here. But we are here, and at PragerU Kids, we have everything that every parent needs to educate our children, because if our children do not understand the foundational tenets of this most blessed place in the entire world, not without faults. We have stains on our history, and we all know that. But we are the most blessed country in the world, and our children need to be able to understand and feel in their guts how much they love America. Because if they don't, we will lose it. But we're not going to lose it, because everyone here, no matter how big or small you may think your role is, everyone here is here, right? And we're 3 years into waking up. And what we've accomplished personally at PragerU Kids in the last 3 years is over 300 pieces of patriotic, wholesome, age-appropriate, educational videos, books, magazines for our children to love and learn about America. And we have been lambasted by press. We are living in an age of lies, where many mainstream outlets will pluck sound bites completely out of context and put them on the internet as a blatant lie and expect people who are blinded to believe it. We're better than that. We're still going. So my wish for you and for everyone tonight is to have hope, because in 3 short years, look at what has been accomplished. We've had parents gather together, we have parents mobilized, we have parents from Satakoy, Glendale, LAUSD, all over the state that have reversed and rectified parent notification policies, things that are setting and course correcting our education system straight. And if we can accomplish everything that we've accomplished in the last 3 years, imagine 3 years from now where we will be, in a very much better place. So I thank all of you. Keep educating your children. It's something that's within our control every single day to do. Wake up, say your prayers, tell your children, teach your children how beautiful this country is, not without fault, through a whole, well-rounded education. But America is the most blessed country on earth, and our children need to understand what our national motto is, and that is E pluribus unum, together as one. Together as one, through our differences. Armenian, Mexican, Black, White, Filipino, Japanese, Asian, Korean, E pluribus unum. We are all here together. And that's what our mission is at PragerU Kids, and that's the hope that I want to give everyone here tonight. I thank you for all the work that you do, and I thank you for all of your support. Thank you.
And now, district by district, county by county, we're going to take the state back from the brink of insanity and actually bring the golden state and make it golden again. And this woman that I'm about to announce, she is a firebrand and another hero of mine. I saw a video, I was at a speaking engagement, and they played a video of her before my speech, and she was telling Tony Thurmond to sit down.
because he was going over his time limit. It was her meeting, she was running it, and she said, hey, if I went to Sacramento and tried to speak after my time period, you wouldn't let me talk, so you can sit down. And I just wanted to stand up and cheer and shout hallelujah. And this woman is such a gift, Sonia Shaw from Chino Valley United School District.
Wow, what a blessing, you know? 3.5 years ago, I never imagined any of this, and God said, go, and I was like, okay, where, God? And it was during the shutdown. I know the shutdown brought so much pain for all of us, but it also brought beauty. Today is happening. People are coming together because of what happened 3.5 years ago and even prior. We had people fighting this fight a long time, way before any of us, and I thank them from the bottom of my heart for continuing to persevere through that. Your work was not in vain, and look, today, we're here together because of that. I'm a soccer mom. I will say that over and over. I had no intentions of ever getting political until it hit our living room floor and it affected our children. We knew we had to stand up and do something, and today is the testimony of what is going on. We are here together. I'm here 2 hours away from home. I'm being flown all over the nation to speak to people, and I never in my wildest years ever thought that. I never really prepare a speech unless we're in front of Sacramento and we know we have to get something out really quick because they mess with our time. But I want you to know my message, I always pray to God to allow me to speak what he wants everybody to hear. And he has told me over and over, hope. Do not give up. We keep seeing the little defeats that we may think are horrible and awful, but every time I see them, I see hope. Because that more many people are getting up and they're saying, what can I do? How can I help? And that is a beautiful thing. That's why we're all here today, from the hope, you know? I can't even, she said something that kind of hit me. She said firebrand. And I was told about 2 years ago, Sonia, you're too much of a firebrand. And I'm like, well, then I have the Holy Spirit burning inside me, so let it be, right? Yeah. I'm not toning this down because I'm doing my work for God and he is my boss. And I'll be loud and proud to say that, but I think the beautiful part is we're coming together regardless of political affiliations, religious affiliations, because we're doing it for our children. And I think that is the most beautiful gift and lesson our kids are going to learn through this, is they're seeing everybody unite, and they're seeing us fight for them. This, despite all the learning loss, I'm telling you, the biggest lesson is what they're seeing us do right now. And that's going to be the biggest gift, and that's going to be our future. I mean, they're counting on us to fight. Look, I never thought about running for school board. Everybody always asks, what can I do? Ask God. He's going to provide exactly what you do. And guess what? Every single one of you were given a gift. Use those gifts. You might be the voice. You might be the crazy person that tells Thurman to go sit down. You might be the person making phone calls and fighting the bad bills. Never in a million years did a lot of us parents ever imagine following bills, right? So what we did in Chino Valley is happening all over. Everybody 3.5 years ago were fighting their own little battles in the pockets, and now the seams are being ripped off, and here we are all together fighting the same thing, united, arm to arm, linked arms, and I believe that in my heart. Don't give up. Don't give up hope. When you see these small defeats, just know God has a plan. He's exposing these things. He's allowing these evil things to be exposed. I know with 1078, everyone was sad, okay? But 1078 also brought more people to the battle. And that is the truth. And guess what? We're building a rock star team all over California, and eventually it's going to be so undeniably unstoppable. Our kids are going to win. They are going to win. Right now, you have people working alongside me to bring safeguards in place to keep sexual explicit material out of schools, regardless of 1078. Find joy and hope in that. We're working hard together, but we need everybody to do their part. And I will say, when we saw AB 1314 come through, that was from Mr. Bilaselli, Assemblyman Bilaselli. I was finally like, yes, we have a bill in Sacramento that we don't have to be on defense with, right? And I'm like, we got to get behind it. I'm here on the school board. God put me as the president as a first-time school board member. How does that happen? That's only by the miracle of God, right? But he had a plan, and I was like, you know what? We're gonna bring a resolution, and we're gonna say Chino Valley supports this bill. So that's what we did. I never imagined it blowing up the way it did. Obviously, Sacramento demons, killed the bill right away. But Bill Estelle came to our board meeting, and he said something very important. You guys can make your own policy. And I'm like, absolutely, that's the name of the game. That's why we're here. A coalition was formed. So find hope in that. People are coming together to put safeguards in place from, I call them the political cartel up in Sacramento. Their seats they're honestly limited. I know it feels like we're in defense, but God is building a rock star team, and that includes every single one of you, and we are going to be on offense soon, and they are so afraid it's not even funny. Look, Bonta's suing us. For what? For wanting to inform you? Tell him to go take a seat along with Thurman. The most beautiful part is people like you are going to run for their seats. All these assemblymen and Senate people that ran for these, and they're exposing themselves through their votes that they used to be able to hide like cockroaches with, are no longer able to hide. The spotlight's on them, you're shining it, and their time is limited. And I want you to find hope in that. And I will say this, I know with Thurman, us telling him to take a seat, it gave a lot of people a hope and said, oh my God, Sonia, you're a hero. No, I'm not a hero. I'm just like you guys. But I saw something wrong. And this is what you do when you see the enemy. You use God's authority that he has given you. You rebuke those demons right down to hell, right? Like you don't even stand for that. You say, go away, go take a seat. Not here and not on our watch and not with our kids. They are exposed. I want to make sure you guys know you are so gifted. God has given you so much. Use it in this fight. There is no talent that will go unwasted. Yep. All of you have an opportunity to serve God to protect our children. Do not take that for granted. We are in a time that if we don't do something now and keep uniting, we will never see this opportunity again. You'll never see us soccer moms and us dads, and I don't want to discredit dads. Dads, you need to rise up and make sure us strong women are supported, but you also play a huge part, and seeing you men out here is amazing and beautiful, and thank you for doing all that you do. Because look, we can tell some men, take a seat because we're going to show you how a real woman does the job, but the fact is I still have an amazing strong man at home that is literally encouraging me and lifting me up on his shoulders, and everything that I do is because he fears God and he serves God, and he says, Sonia, go get it. When I had my pity party, when the death threats came through because I wanted to inform parents, he said, God, put on that armor, girl. You know how to put that on. Get your butt back out there and you go protect our kids. And that's because I had a God-fearing man to be able to remind me of that. Because trust me, the enemy will try to use fear to stop us, but we will not allow that, right? You put that armor on every single day. And I'm going to end with this because I want all of you to be encouraged. I want all of you to know that you have a role in this. We do not give up. We keep linking arms. They do not like that. They're going to try to divide us, but that comes from the enemy. We are not dividable. We stand together for our children. And I want to leave you with something funny because my phone blew up today. And usually it does blow up now with the recent media exposure. And Tony Thurman announced he was running for governor. I have to say, I had the best laugh of my life in a long time. I found it an absolute joke because God's revealing these people. And what a blessing to know, because he snuck in, destroyed our educational system even more. And now he wants to run for governor, not on our watch. Heck no, he needs to leave our kids alone. Yes. We're not going to allow it. And then I want to tell you something and give you encouragement. Always give God your yes. He will show you the way. He will open doors. Sometimes I've learned not to question why he opened those doors. And I'm like, God, are you sure you want me to go do that? Are you really serious? You want me to go say that? Yes, he does. Don't question that. I was just reminded that from a friend a second ago. But here's my husband's messages. I just want you guys to know, no matter what God opens up for us, just remember, go through that door. And if you see a closed door, don't go trying to open it down, open it up. But I want you to find some encouragement knowing that people are doing something about this. There is people like me that never imagined being in this political, arena, fighting these ugly people. But the fact is, I'm encouraged and lifted by you guys. So Chris, my husband, says, this is funny. At 5:38 today, we have not spoke. I left dinner on the oven for them, and he has to go do all the duties that, mom and dad used to split. It's on him. He says, hey, babe, you need to run for governor. And I'm like, and then he goes, I'm just saying. And I'm like laughing out loud. I love you. I've heard this many times today. This is hilarious. And he goes, you need to take Tony out. I got your back. And I said, God opens the door and we will give it to him and give him our yes wherever he takes us. I said, babe, you're amazing. I'm so glad I have a God-fearing husband to guide and protect our family, all while we serve God together. He said, hey, I just saw him on the news. Mind you, we haven't spoke yet. And he says, and the first thing that came to my mind is the only one that's going to take him down is you. They said he's running for governor. And I said, I love you, Shaw, with all my heart. Thank you, LOL. And he goes, I don't just do it. He says, you do it for God, and so do I. He goes, I am just a small soldier in the background, which he's got it all wrong, taking orders and making sure we do God's work. We will take them down with God providing it. I'm not saying I will take that challenge, but if God opens the door, you have my word. I will do everything possible to protect our kids, but we need you guys to do the work alongside us. Every single one of you. I love you guys. I never imagined this in a million years, but I thank God for the blessing of all of us uniting. Thank you, and just do not give up hope. God gave me that message 3.5 years ago.
Sonia for California! Hey, God bless.
Man, she's a hero.